Hear me clear, right?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, awesome. So again, welcome to this first session of learning Agile
Yes, sir.
using Scrum. So tell me a little bit about your experience from watching the tutorials, and then we will ask questions.
So the videos and tutorials were very short and crisp, and as well as they were to the point, and the videos were able to uh, give the introduction of the various concepts associated with project management, in which the agile is right now being utilized more um, frequently in project management, especially the software development projects, in which we are utilizing the agility of Scrum concepts uh, in such a way that we are dividing the whole project into small uh, parts and working on those incremental parts in small teams where there is a product owner who will be directing that small team to achieve the objectives of the sprint.
Fantastic, fantastic. So were you able to follow through um, the videos that we had? And there was an email I sent you with 5-step exercise for you to become a Scrum Master.
Yes, sir.
So did you look at the Scrum guide?
Yes, indeed. I looked at the first week. I completed the first week videos. I have printed that guide and as well as the two links you have sent.
Fantastic.
So I did go through that once at least. But yes, there are a few questions. I'll definitely ask them.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is all about answering questions, right? This is not a tutorial because tutorials are already available for you. So I don't want to
Yes.
walk through each and every slide, but questions that you have, what I will do is I will open the slide deck, share it with you, and then quickly go slide by slide, and then each slide, whichever question you have, we can address those questions.
Sure.
Now, for other individuals who may be watching, just to do a level set, Naveen has a PMP certification. So he is not new to project management, but he may be new to Agile methodology and Scrum framework to do project management. So that's level set I want to do. Now, some of you who may join this program may be completely new to project management, but with that, let me share my screen and okay, are you able to see the slide deck?
Yes, I'm able to see that.
Okay, fantastic. Let me make this full screen. Are you able to see the full screen, right?
Yes, I can see the whole screen.
Okay, fantastic. So let's go. So we talked about Agile, and you very clearly said what Agile is. If there are questions, we will go over them, core values, principles, and common methodology. Project, what it is, you are already aware of. Let's go and ask questions. Do you want to go through a slide deck and ask questions, or do you want to ask your questions? Because slide deck may confuse you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can ask the questions and you can bring up that particular slide and
absolutely.
then definitely. So when we talk about iterative and incremental approach and dividing the complete project into small parts, how do we decide like how much task we must complete within a week? Like, is there a parameter or like guideline or how is it?
Interesting question. So that you have gone further. Those are something covered in week 3 and 4.
Okay.
So scope management is one of the most important thing.
Okay.
And so as an organization, you decide the length of iteration. So what iteration means is sprints, right? So we haven't spoken so much about those things. So work is done in a sprint, average length of sprint according to Scrum, and this is one of the questions that will 100% be asked. What should be the length of a sprint according to Scrum?
Yeah.
So it could be anything under 1 month. That's the right answer. Anything under 1 month. Now, normally people go in a logical fashion. So 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week sprints. But sprint can be 10 days also. Sprint could be 15 days also, right? But in general, it must be under 1 month. So it is short enough that at the end of the sprint, there is something that is production ready. Whether you release it into production or not is not important. But whatever work you completed is ready to be released into production. That is the most important tenet and principle of Scrum framework.
Okay, so next question comes up. Let's say there are dependencies between the two tasks and two different, I would say, the sprints or the fractions of the project. We will decide 1 week or 2 weeks, or do we need to combine them, or we can work separately, or two different teams can work separately on different things which are dependent on each other, or the same team?
So for purposes for this week, let's stay focused on one sprint.
Sure.
Let's learn how to walk, and then we will learn how to run, which we will do, in week 3 and 4. So very important question, dependency. What is dependency for some of the individuals who may not come from project management background? But you always know, if you're building a house, you need to dig foundation before you can do framing. And you have to do framing before you can bring in electrician and plumbers, because they will fish their wires and their pipes through those frames. And drywallers will only come once the frames and electric and plumbing work is completed. Because once the drywalls go on, bringing in electrician after that will be very, very cumbersome and expensive. So there is a sequence in which activities needs to be done, and that's called dependencies. And that doesn't go away in Agile or Scrum framework. That is why there is a very important event that we haven't spoken about. There are multiple events. There are 5 events that are foundational to sprint, and we will cover them in subsequent weeks. But for our purposes of this particular question, there is one event called a sprint planning event. And in that sprint planning, that happens before the sprint start. And the development team comes together with the product owner and decide which stories, and the work that we take on, the tasks that we take on, are normally called stories, user stories, that we can commit to completing in the sprint. So what we call a sprint goal. So every sprint has a goal, that these 5 stories, 10 stories, 20 stories, whatever that number is, that we need to complete. But that decision is made by the development team. And that is one of the foundational things of Agile and Scrum, that what will be done is decided by the development team. You asked me earlier on who decides what work will be done. So that's the answer. It is the developers who decide what stories we can commit. Now, the priority of those stories is the accountability or the responsibility of product owner. Because as a product owner, if I am the product owner and I want to build certain things, then I say, okay, here are 10 things I want to be built. Now that 10 things can translate into 50 stories or something. And you say, okay, in one sprint, we can only do X stories, and that X could be 5, it could be 20, or in actual sense, and we will talk a little more about story points in subsequent weeks, which is the unit of measurement. So you can say, I can only travel 100 kilometers in 1 hour because that's the speed limit. Right? That speed limit is my velocity. So what is my velocity is defined by number of developers I have in my team and their capability of churning out work and the complexity of the work that we are going to do. So all those things are decided in velocity, and these are higher level topics, but we will talk about. But to answer the dependency, so if there are 5 stories that are prioritized by the Scrum Master, by the product owner, Scrum Master, product owner, then you say, okay, which story, can this story be done independently? Yes, then good, yes, we can do it. Oh, this story cannot be done till I do story number 4. So even though you, Mr. Product Owner, think this is the priority 1, but I cannot do this thing till I do 3 and 4. Therefore, it has to be deprioritized, and then we will do it. So then it is a collaboration between developers and product owners, and not owners, but owner. Normally, I prefer accountability to rest with one person, not with multiple people. So that is how the stories are decided to be taken up in the sprint. Making sure that there is no dependency. Now, there could be a scenario where you then start the sprint and you identify that there is a dependency, okay, which you didn't know at the start of the sprint. And in that scenario, then that story becomes blocked. So you put it in a block column. Everybody has we will talk about sprint board later on, and everybody knows that this story is blocked right now because of whatever reason. And if no one can solve it, then it stays blocked. And then you pick up next story and the backlog and work on it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, pretty much. And so this brings up one quick thing. So the small teams like developers, they will have they have diverse skills or like similar skills and working on different topics.
So there are 2 ways to answer this question. Okay. One is pure agile way of answering question, and one more practical way of answering questions.
Okay.
So you have to learn 2 things, right? One, to be a practical Scrum Master in the industry where you are actually running the project. One is to pass your Scrum Master exam.
Yeah.
So according to Scrum, there are only one role in Scrum team, which is developers. So everybody is called developer. And in pure agile terms, they say they are all interchangeable. There's no tester, no business analyst. Everybody is a developer. Okay, that's the only nomenclature they use according to Scrum guide. Now, as a project manager, you know that there are multiple roles, right? So there are business analysts, there are technical analysts, there are architects, there are developers, there are testers, and even within developers, right? You can have iOS developer and Android developer, and you could have web developer and Angular developer and so on. So the list goes on. So it is very difficult to say, anyone can do anyone's job. Pure Agile says your team should be made of there where anyone can do anyone's job, and that's not really practical. So when you are constructing your Scrum team, you need to understand those things, right? As just like building your home, you need framers, you need electricians, and you need plumbers, and you want drywall people, and you need roofers, and those trade people needs to be engaged, and when they needs to be engaged. And you may create multiple Scrum teams and say, okay, here's the Scrum team of plumbers. Now we are going to do all the plumber related tasks. So we're going to get these sprints where plumbers are going to come. Here's the electricians related to work. So you can divide your Scrum teams, saying, okay, these are iOS. So anything we're talking about iOS will go to this Scrum team. That Scrum team has all the iOS developers in it, and so on.
So one particular team will have similar traits and skills, and normally it will be like that, right?
Again, there is no hard and fast rule, right?
Okay.
You can create a web team and a mobile team, but then within that mobile team, Scrum team, we have one iOS developer and one Android developer, and 2 testers and 1 BA. Again, that will be driven by the requirements. Do you have big enough? If there's a lot of iOS work, then you can say, yeah, I don't need, you know, I will give you an example. I'm just getting my powder room converted into full bathroom, right? Powder room, for those who in India may not understand, so only vanity and toilet seat.
Yes.
But if you want to convert that, so it's a very small job. So I'm not going to have a lot of electricians and plumbers and driver people. You know, I'm going to bring in one contractor who may be able to do all the three works. But he may engage a plumber come in one day, electrician come in for other days. So it's a very small work, so a small team. But if I was building a home, then I will need to bring in a lot of electricians. And if I'm a builder building hundreds of homes, then again, all those things are driven by the volume of work that you are going to be accomplishing.
Okay. Sure. So there's a very important concept over here, which the Scrum talks about continuous improvement. So this continuous improvement is related to the product and processes also, as per my understanding, I think. So while we are reporting or we are giving the status report to the stakeholders, that time they can change. They can change the requirements, or requirements are fixed before the project starts, just like a normal waterfall project.
That is the big difference between Agile and waterfall. That your requirements are Agile, right? One of the core value of Agile is where did I go?
So slide 10. Go back.
Yeah, so this is it, right? Core values of Agile. So you collaborate continuously and keeping things simple. So you give more importance to work than requirements. So requirements are never static. Before every sprint, your requirements can change. Your requirements are static only for a single sprint, the sprint that is in flight. Right? So the sprint planning exercise, you define my sprint goal. Then you don't want to change that sprint goal. That is why we recommend that sprints be small duration, no longer than a month. You know, in most cases, I've used 2-week sprints. 1 week is too short, and in my opinion, 4 weeks is too long, even for that purposes. Because in today's ever-changing world, requirements tend to change. You cannot, even for a month, can say my requirements are not going to change. But 2 weeks, maximum 3-week sprints is an ideal sprint length from my experience. However, again, from exam perspective, 1 month or less is their definition. So if requirements are constantly changing, because product owner is the one who's deciding, but product owner is getting feedback from various different stakeholders. As any large project, just like waterfall, you have multiple stakeholders. So they're constantly talking to you. And one of the beautiful things is that you have a working software at the end of every sprint. When you have a working software at the end of the sprint, meaning people are now using it. And when you use it, you say, I didn't realize that this is going to happen. I think I need to change this workflow from here to here. Oh, I didn't realize that these fonts and these color sizes are going to be like this. I want to change that, you know. And oh, I need one more button here. Oh, this needs to be mandatory and not, you know. So you're constantly, scope will be
keeps changing.
And that adaptability, that agility to accommodate those requirements is key. Now, question is, some of those requirements may not be as critical. So you say, yeah, I understand that scope. We'll write that story, but it's not high priority. I'm going to keep it at bottom because there's some other high priority. And that is decided by your product owner. Right? He is or she is the individual responsible for making sure that we are producing a product that is acceptable and valuable for the end users.
Yes. Okay. But at the same time, we must have some objective in mind, right? While we are starting the project. So, is there a broader objective is defined for sure, or like we have to have the like end result, a conceptual end result in our for the project must be defined, right?
So you always, anytime you embark on something, you always have a vision, right? So I
Okay.
know that
Yeah.
I need to create a full bathroom in the basement and on my main floor for Alisa.
Yeah.
Now, what is changing is, do I need to put a 36-inch vanity or a
Yeah.
24-inch vanity? That's okay. If because we have very limited space
Yeah.
and we are adding a full standing shower, right?
Hmm.
I need to have a standing shower. I don't want it a very small kind standing shower. So if we that's going to take more space, then I have to compromise on that, right?
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
principles of managing a project doesn't go away. Your
Hmm.
scope, your budget,
Budget.
and your
Everything
time.
time remains.
Those triple constraints are there, right?
Yeah.
And if one constraint changes, something else got to give.
Obviously.
So that thing is always there. Now in
Okay.
waterfall, we do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not the concepts that we are bringing in Agile are brand new.
Hmm.
They're pretty much same concepts. The key thing we are saying is that let's not, say, no, we got to have 36-inch
Got
vanity only.
okay.
I'm not going to compromise on 24. Right? So plumber comes in or a contractor comes in, he measures, he says, I cannot put in a 24 or 36 here. I got to put a single 24-inch vanity,
24 inch.
right? So I say, yeah, fine, go do it,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, this was defined in a scopes document. Now it needs to go to the steering committee. We have to go through a change control board that will say what is the impact of now changing from 36 to 24.
Okay.
Price change happens. Now, are you
Yeah.
going to give me money back because now we're going from 36 to 24?
Yeah.
Those kinds of red tape, bureaucracy, bottlenecks are to be removed.
Okay.
At least appointing a person that we trust. And that is why it is very important that the person you appoint as a product owner is well versed with the business needs.
Okay.
Okay. He or she understands the business needs, is collaborative in nature, has ability to facilitate these design sessions and communicate clearly both to the people on the left side, which is the people who are giving all the requirements, and to the developers who are actually going to implement and making sure that whatever is being produced is usable. And that is why at the end of 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, there's something that now end users can see and say, yeah,
Yeah.
this is practical. This is something I can use. No, this is not practical. I cannot use it. So if you fail fast. So you can change.
Yeah. We can change. Okay. So the cost increment because of the change will be minimal as compared to the waterfall.
Absolutely, and that is one of the biggest thing is that in your world and my world, we have seen a lot of time you have waterfall projects will be 18 months long, and
Yeah.
month 8 or 9, when the first time system integration testing starts to happen, people start to realize, they missed this thing or they miscalculated this thing or this is not expected. And then going back is very, very expensive,
Very, very.
right? So
Yeah.
that is why Agile has been so popular over the last decade or so, because now you're enabling your product owner, you're enabling your end users, you're enabling your developers to make those decisions without a lot of upper level bureaucracy.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the communication piece that like how is it's done? Like every day we need to do meetings in the morning
So
and
we will get into that again. I
okay.
mentioned there are 5 different events, and there is a
Okay.
daily Scrum, and we will talk about that
Sure.
in
Sure.
subsequent
Sure.
weeks.
Sure.
I want to do a
So
quick time check.
yeah.
Okay, we have 5 more minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the feedback is obviously it's there, and there was a Can I move it?
Yeah, there is another event called Sprint Retrospective and Sprint
Okay.
Review. So there are two events, and
Okay.
one is to give you feedback on the product that is being built,
Okay.
and Sprint Retrospective is to provide you feedback on the processes that we are using and areas for improvement that we need to
Okay.
think
We
about.
need to do. Okay.
So we're getting
So
feedback for both.
so that feedback can be technical and functional both. So or anything on
Absolutely.
output, comparing what exactly they needed and what they got. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But we will talk about more. I don't want to rush you through. These
Sure.
are all topics that we will be covering in some.
Okay. Okay. Sure. So yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of understanding now. What exactly is it, and it will be very beneficial for implementing the projects in a very, I would say, the expectations changes by the stakeholders can be accommodative on weekly basis.
Adaptability is the
And
most important thing. You know, continuous communication, continuous collaboration, where product owners, scrum masters, developers, testers, they all are connecting every day. They're speaking every day. They don't need long meetings. The pure point is that they are co-located, they are working close quarters, they're talking to each other directly
yeah,
rather than going up and then coming down the food
cool.
chain.
Sure.
So let's do your week 2, and then if you are eager, you can watch all 4 weeks.
I can do that. I mean, I
Before
was
our
just
Monday call,
yeah,
but yeah, we will do our calls that we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
sure,
and then Friday. Again,
sure.
my goal is that you be ready to write your Scrum exam. You know, don't do one practice test. I
Yeah.
don't know if you have done it or not.
No, I
And
haven't done it. I'm just studying it first. So I thought,
see where you stand, so
yeah,
you are able to see your progress. You know,
yeah, sure,
how you are improving your percentage on it.
sure.
Uh, it's available on the site. It will
Okay,
give you a good assessment where you were and where you are and where you need to be.
okay,
You know,
sure,
and again, my goal is for you to become a Scrum Master, certified
sure.
professional Scrum Master level 1 by end of 4 weeks, and then
Okay,
start your new journey as a Scrum Master.
sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you,
if you
sir.
have any questions, shoot me an email.
Sure,
And if
will
you
do.
need to jump on a quick call, more than happy.
Sure, sure.
Okay, Naveen, have
Okay,
a
sir.
wonderful day and productive day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day, sir.
You too.
Thank you.